MMA Boxing Talk here. I just wanted to make a video, give you my thoughts on Saturday's main event between Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier, their trilogy fight. It went all 5 rounds. It was a good fight. Both men were spent by the end of it. It was a classic trilogy fight, you know. You can't really ask for more than that. 2 legends. A trilogy fight with a lot of stakes on the line, a lot of legacy bragging rights up for grabs, and I'm going to basically go through each round, give you my thoughts, and breaking each round down. So I also, before I get into that though, I do want to say that probably tomorrow I'll be uploading a video on the history of heavyweights in MMA. I'm gonna, obviously I'm gonna go through the UFC heavyweight history, but also MMA heavyweight history, whether it was Pride or Strikeforce before the UFC. So I'll probably be uploading, like I said, that video tomorrow on the history of MMA heavyweights. Now, jump right into it. Let's start off with round 1. Round 1 was very close. Could have went either way. I know the verdict scorecards, the global verdict scorecards, which if you're not following, you gotta follow them on Instagram, and also download their app. You can score the rounds live, round by round, and you can also make predictions. Excuse me, you can add friends, you can follow friends. Really, really cool app. They barely had Cormier win in the first round. I thought he probably stole the round at the end with that shot above, just above the ear that kind of wobbled Stipe a little bit. That probably stole him the round, but if you gave it to Stipe, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. 2 of the judges gave Cormier that first round. But like I said, very close. Round 2 was another close round. Cormier was probably in the lead a little bit in that second round. It was very close, but at the end, Stipe blitzed him with punches, landed a lot of them, dropped Cormier, had him in full mount, ground and pound. Cormier got saved by the bell. So that was definitely a clear Stipe round, round 2. Round 3, I thought, was another clear Stipe round for a couple reasons. For one, in round 3, Stipe had 10 more significant strikes landed than Cormier did. Stipe also had 1 minute and 56 seconds of control time in round 3. So, 10 more significant strikes, almost 2 minutes of control time. I just don't see how Cormier wins that round. He didn't have enough, really meaningful, significant strikes to really steal that round. So that's a Stipe round, I should say. So first round probably went to Cormier, but could have went either way. Round 2 is a Stipe round because Stipe almost finishes Cormier at the end of round 2 and drops him. Round 3, 10 more significant strikes, almost 2 minutes of control time. Got to be a Stipe round. Round 4 was another close round. A lot of people did give that round to Cormier. I know 2 of the judges as well gave that round to Cormier, and 1 judge gave it to Stipe. But yeah, round 4, Stipe did have 1.5 minutes of control time, and I think Cormier did outland him by about twice as much for significant strikes. I think Cormier had 30 significant strikes. Stipe only had 16. But the 1.5 minutes of control time does make that a closer round. I know verdict it was a little wider for Cormier compared to the first round. The 4th round probably went to Cormier. I have no problem giving it to him. Now, round 5, definitely a Stipe round. Like the 3rd round, similar to the 3rd round, he had 10 more significant strikes landed. And this time in round 5, he had 2 minutes and 18 seconds of control time, controlling Cormier up against the fence. So, that 5th round, it's tough to give that one to Cormier. So basically I scored it, to be generous, I scored it round 1 to Cormier, 2 to Stipe, round 3 Stipe, 4 Cormier, 5 to Stipe Miocic. I think the unanimous decision is definitely accurate. The thing is with this fight is that there were some close rounds, some close moments. The rounds that Stipe won were pretty clear in my opinion, you know. Almost finishes them in round 2. And then in round 3 and round 5, he had roughly 2 minutes of control time and 10 more significant strikes. To me, that's enough to win those rounds clearly, decisively enough. But the rounds that Cormier won, they're very debatable. They're more close rounds. The rounds Stipe won were a little more decisive. So that's why I say the unanimous decision is definitely the right call. Personally, I would have scored it 4 rounds to 1 for Daniel Cormier, giving Cormier the 4th round. Stipe did come out and look good in round 1. But like I said, round 1 and round 4, I have no problem giving them to Cormier. So if you scored the fight 3-2 for Stipe Miocic, I got no problem with that. Of course, the eye pokes, that's one thing I have to touch on because, you know, it definitely played a factor in this fight. There's no denying that. You know, Stipe definitely poked Cormier the worst. You know, out of their trilogy, all the eye pokes combined, Cormier got poked the worst. There's no doubt about that. But Cormier did poke Stipe in each and every fight of this trilogy. He poked him multiple times in the first, multiple times in the second, to the point where Stipe actually had to get retina surgery, and the trilogy was pushed back because Stipe wasn't ready. He was recovering from his retina surgery because the eye pokes Daniel Cormier gave to him in their second fight. In the third fight, Cormier did eye poke Stipe in round 1. And then, you know, I think it was at the end of round 3, with about 10-12 seconds left, Stipe eye pokes Cormier real bad. It was a real bad one. Tough to see, you know, I don't like ever seeing that. But it is what it is. It is what it is, and it's tough to say because I do like Daniel Cormier a lot. He's a legend. You know, I'm going to get into that in my next video, breaking down the heavyweight history. But, you know, Cormier is on the, you know, easily on the top 10 pound for pound list in MMA history. He's probably around, you know, 5, 6, or 7-ish. Definitely in the top 10 pound for pound all time. But, you know, how much can we really give stock to that eye poke when Cormier poked Stipe in all 3 fights? You know, you can't say Cormier lost because of the eye poke. You know, Stipe was doing really well up until the eye poke. He was winning the fight up until the eye poke. And, you know, the eye poke obviously was significant, but Cormier possibly won that 4th round, you know. Two of the judges gave it to him. The global verdict scorecard, the majority of the people gave Cormier the 4th round. So he did win a round after getting the eye poke. So you can't blame it just on that. You can't blame the loss, the second loss in the trilogy to the eye poke. It's just not fair because Cormier poked him in every fight. It still sucks to see. You never want to see a guy possibly have his last fight and, you know, have his vision compromised so much. Hopefully it's not a permanent thing. And, you know, his vision comes back, because he was saying he couldn't see at all, which is not good to hear. You feel for the guy, but hopefully he can get a full recovery with that. And but I did want to just mention that. Now, yeah, the whole control time too. I went back. The UFC website used to they used to calculate the total control time after a fight, and they don't do that anymore. So I went back and I made timestamps and calculated all the control time Stipe had. Cormier probably had about 45 seconds, maybe a minute throughout the fight, if that. But Stipe had a lot of control time, and it did play a factor in this fight. In my opinion, the control time solidified him winning the 3rd and 5th round, and the control time made that 4th round close, you know. In total, Stipe Miocic had 5 minutes and 44 seconds of control time throughout that fight, and it came in the last 15 minutes of the fight. The control time really only started in round 3, and, you know, obviously 4 and 5 it continued on. But 5 minutes and 44 seconds, that's, you know, more than a round of just holding Cormier up against the cage, controlling him, grinding him out. Very impressive, you know, very complete, impressive performance by Stipe Miocic. Like I said, got no problem with you scoring it. 4-1 Stipe, 3-2 Stipe. If you want to give it 5-0 Stipe, it is a bit of a stretch, but it's not the craziest thing I've ever heard. But great fight. Just wanted to give my thoughts, breaking it down a little longer than I wanted to, but I wanted to touch on, you know, the eye pokes, breaking each round down, talk about the control time. And yeah, stay tuned for my video on the heavyweight history of MMA, probably coming out tomorrow. That's it for this one. If you liked the video, subscribe. Peace.